Hello, it is now the 1st. Es ist jetzt der 3. March. Get also interested. Interessiert sind. This is private. Then not only that. Also das hier ist natürlich zuerst einmal privat, aber dann nicht nur. And I'm looking around. I have had on the working field and then retraining by state law, also durch Rentenversicherung eine Hilfe zur Teilhabe, aber das funktioniert einfach nicht wegen der Arbeitsmarktbedingungen. That I found out. And I give that percentages. I'm not that sure that I can go to something solid. Also ich kann ja auf nichts Solides jetzt bauen. Because if that had been the case, that people knew I had been born there, others would have broken something. Also da hätten andere etwas gebrochen, wenn das hier wahr wäre. Deswegen bin ich noch am Überlegen, es kann ja eigentlich gar nicht sein. That really happened. And this is the reason that I had no time and no energy to look into it. Also keine Zeit, keine Energie, da überhaupt reinzugucken. There was something. But that was old stuff, old-timer thinking. My mother had the idea, you will be my successor. She once said, also sie sagte einmal, du wirst mein Nachfolger sein. Das war ihre Idee, das war so wie Oldtimer-Denken. I had once met someone who was there when the first car came to the road. Still was different, without electricity and so on. Also ich habe mal einen getroffen als kleines Kind, der hat die alte Zeit gekannt, als es noch überhaupt keine Elektrizität hier gab. Als die ersten Autos auf die Straße kamen. Also for me, and then other countries were not known too much. The internet was not there. We even had no television. I was once in the US. There was the showmaster. He wanted to have me on the stage, but it wasn't allowed. By whom? I don't know. Also ich weiß gar nicht, wer genau da war. Der hat es nicht erlaubt, dass der Jack Benny mich auf die Bühne mitgenommen hatte. I could walk a little bit, but maybe only for some weeks or for some days. Also ich weiß nicht, ob ich 3 Jahre gewesen bin. For me it was not abroad because I didn't notice. Also ich habe das nicht gemerkt, dass es außerhalb war oder auch im Ausland, weil man wird da mitgetragen, man schläft viel. And now I understand that what did not work out should have worked out on my own. Also das, was von außen versprochen worden ist, das hatte nicht geklappt. Also mit Sponsoring der Wirtschaft sollte eine Kulturmission aufgebaut werden, also die sich um eine neue deutsche Welle vielleicht oder die sich um neue Sportförderung oder Ähnliches kümmert oder auch um egal was zur Kultur gehört, vielleicht auch Sinfonieorchester oder auch irgendwie das Züchten von Tieren, von Pflanzen und so weiter, das ist ja alles Kultur oder auch der Stil der Wohnung oder der Gebäude oder und so weiter. Sogar Wirtschaftstechnik gehörte mal mit zur Kultur. Ja. Culture, that was what was intended to have as a foundation that would then be filled by industry, and it was not explained too much, and this was strange. That was the idea. And I should be the successor of my mother. She had something promised or worked for it. In German it is better, because I can exactly remember. Ich hatte etwas, was ich nicht nutzen konnte. Also she couldn't use it. And this had to do with her help for the foundation of the Federal Republic of Germany. Also Grundgesetz im Hintergrund. Das hat sie gerne gemacht, also nicht selbst, nur wenn es notwendig war. Da waren die 3, 4 Damen, oder wie viel das waren. Da hatte sie auch damit zu tun, aber nicht nur. Da musste man mit den Alliierten Vertrauensaufbau betreiben. Und das müsste mit der Grund gewesen sein, dass sie etwas nicht machen durfte. Aber es kann auch sein, it might well be that she was a caretaker for nobility children. She once said the old was gone and they looked for a new, the nobility families for a new task. Also man hatte das Alte verloren, regieren, und man hatte nach einer neuen Aufgabe gesehen, und dann hatte sie die Fäden geknüpft, um Kinder gekümmert, and there had been then a lawsuit against her. She should have neglected children. Also dann gab es so eine Anklage. It could have been to get her down or to get something of her. Also nicht jede Anklage ist natürlich gerechtfertigt. Und da muss was gewesen sein. Es könnte Braunschweig betroffen haben. But now I come to the conclusion, I overheard something that I sorted then as being the caretaker, but maybe it was from the other woman who was not taking over responsibility. Also damals hatte es ja diese, im britischen System, das war ja Braunschweig, am Hof in Braunschweig, am ehemaligen Regierungshof, das war gerade die Zeit, wo es es änderte. Es war aber noch Parallelregierung, also hatte sich eigentlich noch nicht geändert. Oder doch? Wer weiß das schon. Wann ist eigentlich das Ende gewesen der alten Regierung, der Adelsregierung? Da waren einige Ämter waren noch erblich, und dann war das parallel. Es gab Richter, die haben so gerichtet, andere gesagt, there had been parallel administration, old nobility and the rebels. They were mostly social democrats, but not only. They had an own system, and somehow it was parallel. The law was changed, but not everyone acknowledged the changes. Also there had been some turbulence in the field of law and order. And in that time there had been the British court in Braunschweig, and there and the new was also there. The new time without the old inherited positions, but also something that had been still different in Germany, I don't know, was still there. Also dann gab es auch noch andere Unterschiede. Also war nicht nur, dass die erbliche Position, es gab ja schon längst demokratische Strukturen, aber da gab es auch noch solche Autoritäten und auch Immunität. Das war dann eben weg. Aber es war auch dann auch so, dass die Direktive anders lief. Und da war einiges durcheinander. There had been a British court system. Da war ein britisches Hofsystem. And that court system then had a governess. Also da war eine Gouvernante. And the children had her as her mother. It could well be that my mother, I don't know how it was legally, but she said to me, deswegen kann sie es eigentlich gar nicht gewesen sein, weil die hatte ja Kinder, oder hatte die Gouvernante die Kinder? Für mich wäre das jetzt nicht schlimm, aber die Kaisertochter wäre dann eben meine Mutter und die andere eben nicht. Das wäre für mich kein Problem. Die andere war ja trotzdem mit dem Herzog verheiratet. Nein, das war meine Mutter. Es gibt ja ein Durcheinander, aber für mich ist das nicht das Problem jetzt. My problem is, for me it is not the problem if there had been two countess or two duchess of high nobility in Braunschweig. No, it was only one, but the other was acting as one. So it was one being the real and the other the acting one. But for the children, I don't know. She said she had still a trust relationship to the oldest son, but he developed Schwermut, weiß ich nicht, because of the whole situation. But this was not only in Braunschweig, also es sind da einige Man hat die einfach zur Seite geschoben. Some were not even able to live there anymore. Also das war ganz seltsam. Also sie hatten ja Bedienstete aus dem Dorf, einige wurden da nicht mehr richtig bedient. Also ich habe das gehört, das war immer froh, dass ich da eben nicht dazugehörte, dass meine Mutter da nur als, wie ich dachte, nur it wasn't explained that much. It was a distance, not everything was explained to me. Of course not. It was the old time, you were the child and better some things you don't know. Also weil die alte Zeit, einige Sachen sollst du jetzt besser nicht wissen. But then there was the time when politics was interested. I got some invitation, they wanted some more culture. And then there was a problem, what was real? And for me, the international relationship on the nobility system was seen as being terroristic. And this, of course, was a single opinion. I'm not saying that there had been any court judging that could sort that out. Also ich sage natürlich nicht, dass es da jetzt schon Urteile gegeben hat, aber ich konnte es mir nicht leisten. Ich war Schüler. I had an income of pocket money, of allowance from the parents. It was really 50 mark. That was the most. You can't do anything like building something up. And she was on the level of welfare. And this is now putting out of context. It was really the case that we nearly had lost our little house from time to time. It was very narrow budget, too narrow budget. The father, he was a salesman in cars. And now I understand that what I once got to know, that both mothers were involved in me being born. And then it was, no, is there something she mixed up? But then I remembered, yes, there was something, but others said she's having Durchblutungsstörung, she's developing, and she's having that for quite a time. Not brain damage, but something like blocking the flow. And I thought hopefully the old stuff is gone, because it involves war, the killing of a whole population, and then all those injustices, and some were solved, some not. And then it was, she said, that is 100% clear. It is governed by trustworthy sources. She had high regard, very high regard for the German officer, also der deutsche Beamte, der war bei ihr über jeden Verdacht erhaben. And she gave things away to the German officer. But to whom? Zu wem denn? I'm now writing telefaxes. Of course, I don't have the money to buy stamps. Also ich kann natürlich keine Briefmarken kaufen, das geht ja nicht. It's a stuck retraining, and that what I had is of course eaten up. Also was ich immer hatte an Reserven ist natürlich aufgefressen. Also ist verbraucht. Und ich bin angefressen. Und das ist wirklich so, we had much trouble. And interestingly enough, after my mother, the older, died, is really death what was there. Going home is a religious thing, and she was a believer. But she was sick from maybe 95, and even before she was not well. And then she had suspicions. Are they narrowing in me again? She was having that in the 55, 56, 55, 65 in this area, also 55, 65. Da haben die sich irgendwie noch bedrängt. And that was because of the old days. Maybe even because of the work of my father. As a military, he was being a counselor the Duchess. She was not saying, I am the Duchess. She never said that. I even got the idea she worked for the Duchess, because she was looking what she was, yes, one time she said she was asked if she could look it over. Das ist ja noch verrückter. Also da ist mal was gewesen, das hatte sie für die, bis 1980 war die ja da, das ist also jetzt hier für 78. Old relationship, and then, how can it be that she did it? That must be an old understanding of responsibility. Das muss ein ganz altes Verantwortungsgefühl gewesen sein. Yes, and it was indeed. I even heard that she had a meeting. I heard it from distance, or as a child when I went through. It was really at that age when I stood there, were all things going on. She was needed. She knew a lot about the international relationships, and she was asked. But those who came were talking religious, and for me it was strange. I said to her, maybe they're playing that all. I don't know if they're all religious. This is not true. This is not honest. Also für mich war es irgendwie zum Kotzen. Wenn dann so Leute kamen, Politiker, die also irgendwie so fromm rummachten. One said, I'm the president of the federal state. Also da war mal in der Küche. And he was having a daughter at boarding school. Ja, alles ein bisschen verrückt. Also es kann sein, aber strange enough, he was there 2 or 3 times. Why? Was he snooping around? Weiß ich nicht, ob die ausgeschnüffelt wurden. Denn dann war es wieder ganz weg. Then it was all gone. And my mother didn't get any money for her counseling. And she said, inside of Germany she wasn't allowed to do that anymore, and she had to pass letters of that. Even to me it was once said, I don't know, write me directly please, not through government, because I feel mistreated by the own government since 91. I have not had one letter passed on to me. So in case you had the idea to write to me, please make sure it arrives. And if it is stopped somehow, it is criminal. Also wenn da irgendwas an Post aufgehalten wird, das ist kriminell. Dann ist das kriminell. Not that I might have thought about it, that better, if there comes something of diplomacy, I'd better not get it, because you can make faulty errors with follow-up. That does not mean I want others to look into my letters, into the letters to me, from me. Das will ich natürlich nicht. Postgeheimnis muss gewahrt bleiben. Nur weil ich als Kind mal sagte, also wenn ich der Nachfolger bin, ist es vielleicht besser, wenn ich manche Briefe dann nicht bearbeite, because I understood there had to be things known from of old, and there had been a colleague from of old who said, I can't do that anymore. They use us, then they are friendly, and if we do something, we are threatened with prison. Also da waren so einige alte, für das Kaisersystem, das war ja, also eigentlich war Drittes Reich so eine Verlängerung von der Weimarer Republik. Und da müsste man mal genau gucken, wie das überhaupt war. An für sich war das schon ein bisschen unsauber alles. Nach dem, was ich weiß, ist es so verdrückt worden. Also so praktisch wurde das Faktische geschaffen. It was pushed away, there was the factual situation being cemented, being put in concrete. Also da ist das Faktische mehr so in Beton gegossen worden. And I can remember in the papers was much about the paying off of old nobility rights. And to me it was said there is even an agency buying the rights of old families, and with me there had not been any contract. Das ist wichtig, also ich habe das nie gemacht, also absichtlich nicht. Nicht nur, dass ich das nicht gemacht habe, sondern ich wollte es absolut nicht. She said, please take care that you do not intermingle with something, with your Mama, she lost something. I don't know how much. Mama, also the younger, she was called Mama and she Oma. So I had both, and you can't say Mama one or Mama. No. And she had this say, but the other was also saying that what in Hessen is left, maybe they will give it to you, because with her something was wrong. Also mit meiner Mutter, der Jüngeren, da stimmte irgendwas nicht. I don't know if she had done something or it was a restriction because she was an officer as a teacher. This could be a restriction. Also es kann durchaus eine Einschränkung sein, wenn man schon irgendwie verpflichtet ist, so als Beamter. Therefore I learned better not to be a Beamter, an officer. Or better not to make contracts. Look into it. But I once was in Czechoslovakia, and there I was in a motel, and when I was checked off, I told at home I had to sign something. I was forced as a child. I was a little bit older. I could write my name. It was before school, or it was when school started, 74. And then she telephoned and said, this is not valid. If it was something else, then being in connection with the Herberge, with the guest room. Also da habe ich schon gelernt, man muss aufpassen. I only thought it had to do with successorship of diplomacy, and that was combined. But she was out of nobility, I think, 20. And that what she earned afterward. I asked, where is the bank? It is not there anymore, she said. Wo ist denn die Bank? Financial Institute. Where is it? It's not there anymore. So it is no private. But where? Und da kriege ich eine Krise, wenn Merkel mit diesem Georg, den ich nicht kenne, verhandelt. And then I get a crisis now, today, not yesterday. When I think about Miss Merkel negotiating with Mr. Georg, I don't know, of Poison, from Poison. Also, ich habe die Filme mal gesehen, aber was machen die denn da? Hopefully it is not that. Because das wäre natürlich Freiheit, Gemeinheit, and then I have problems. That gives motives for the detective. Und das kann natürlich nicht sein, dass alles ehrliche Angestellte im Staat, die machen sowas nicht. Das hier ist erstanden aus Ruinen, und sogar in der DDR singen die das. Deswegen werden die dann auch mit ihrer Ethikkommission nur das Richtige machen oder auch den Papst fragen. Es ist wichtig, dass wir so etwas Falsches nicht vermuten gegen die Bundesregierung, weil das wäre ein Verlust des Heiligenscheins, den können wir uns ja gar nicht erlauben. So, this is in the manner of the three investigators is important. To understand people, I've had the contact with those people coming from Russia, and they ask me things stupid enough to be true, and it was outside of our constitution. We don't have, the Grundgesetz is more than that. The constitution is only something like a belief system. The Grundgesetz is more than that. And to find out what others think, you follow their ideas. It is the Advocatus Diabolus. Und hier muss man aber rauskriegen, was eigentlich überhaupt los ist. Could it be that they promised me something, and if I had gotten into it, I would then have been busted? Kann das sogar sein, dass Politiker meine Mutter etwas versprochen haben und dann das von außen hätten füllen wollen, und wenn ich das ausgefüllt hätte, wäre ich in die Falle geraten? Because I didn't know about a real Kaiserabstammung. Das weiß ich bis heute nicht, aber das muss so, das deutet darauf hin. Dann hätten sie mich dann da reingekriegt in diese privat vom Staat gefütterte Stiftung, wo ich dann praktisch nur verwaltet hätte. Also sowas gibt es ja. Und dann hätten sie sich da durchgetrickst, weil angeblich Staatsverträge heilig sind wie der Papst. Nein, das wird alles ganz ehrlich gelaufen sein. Sowas Böses passiert ja nicht. Beim Einigungsvertrag, when the reunification contract was there, this of course was something I mistook. I put in a wrong memory. Also was ich da in Erinnerung habe, habe ich natürlich falsch in Erinnerung, because it had been that the little one, Demiziere, der kleinere Herr Demiziere, he said, I could not sleep well, and I said to him, I can't sign it either. I was someone in the successorship of my mother, having the right to look it over and like a trust personnel who has to make sure it goes right, to sign something, and said no. And I said no. Then he said, we can't say no. And I said, so I could give you a sub right to sign, but I make something in it to narrow it. That not the things are involved I don't know about. I said, first, before we sign, I want to know what's on the table, and this whole contract is for me with so many disguises that I don't know what to sign. And then there was the president or speaker. I said, I can't listen to that. I go before the door. My seat was empty. And I said, this protest, I do not want to stop the reunification process, but I can't sign something I don't know what it is. And this is still my standpoint, and I hope the world is interested to know something about it. Why isn't it connected to my name, that I had to be some kind of guardian, that it went right? I had to pass it on. But I said, I make this with a condition, this passing on, that I said, if you want that for the others, not for me, I do not put my own rights on the table. I knew there had to be something. There had to be something, but what I don't know. The DDR, eastern parts of Germany, those were not that bankrupt as Yugoslavia. There, with 12 years, they said to my mother, can we have your son for a day? And then on the right, the man, I thought I knew him. Later it was said it was not right that you went with him. I was 12 years old. He said to me, this could be dangerous, but if you do anything or everything right, no problem. And I said, please say to me, tell me what I shall do. And then I learned it was the banks, the financial institutes were not giving credit to Yugoslavia anymore. Mr. Tito had given everything of his own, and he was being in trouble, and he wanted to talk someone from the ancestry of Fritz. Why have I not the idea, and this was dangerous, and he was doing it not according to the law. Also das, was er gemacht hat, dass er mich da mitgenommen hat, es war nur für eine Fahrt. Er hatte nicht den Eltern gesagt, wohin. Und ich bekomme jetzt die Idee, dass ich wegen der historischen Sachen in Gefahr gerate und kein Schutz in Deutschland. So Mr. Vogelfrei is German, and German is Vogelfrei. Also without rights, he's German, and German is without rights. Protection by the law is something. Also ist doch was. Durch das Geschütz sein muss natürlich auch durchgesetzt werden. Und ich habe den Gedanken, die DDR war nicht so bankrupt, also war nicht so kaputt. They were looking for a method to be accepted on the international state. And then I got into contact, and I was very cautious. And I thought the DDR then had a wise council of wise men. They want to do it right, but then it went too far, too fast, and too far, and too, I don't know how. And this, of course, was something and the advantage of other people, not of me. But who signed the contract, the reunification contract? Why can't I have an answer? I wrote many telefaxes about it. I want to know, because till then I understood it is something maybe an honest citizen can do. I was invited to the Stadt Osnabrück when the Rhine army, the British army, was moving away. Why were they inviting me? I asked the mayor, and she said, we don't know, some citizens are always invited when we have such an important farewell. And I spoke to the officer. I said, I will not take the side of the Rhine army. I do not take the side of the city. I do not take another side than my own. I want to be my own, objective or independent. Also da war so komische Sachen, da wurden Bürger eingeladen, als die Rheinarmee ging. Und ich möchte wissen, I want to know, why was I invited? Were there some rights, any rights involved? Ich denke nicht. Denn because we looked for a parcel of land to put some trees on it. Apple trees, for example. And we were looking, and we had 3,000 D-Mark. And we were looking for a stripe of land. It was 2 meters in the extension and 100 meters long. 2 meters breadth. Und das ging natürlich nicht. Das wäre billig gewesen, aber das ging nicht. Also mitten auf dem Acker und dann links und rechts irgendjemand anderes sagt, ich kann hier keine Zäune und nichts pflanzen. If there had been some piece of land in Osnabrück, I would have taken, of course. And this is to be looked into. Was there anything involved? Because die heilige Stadt Osnabrück, die macht alles richtig. Ich glaube da kein Wort davon. Social Democrats had a great hate toward nobility. I myself had a little bit, because I was threatened, maybe because of conflicts. But Social Democrats applauded when they think of the time when they had been street fighters. And nowadays you would say terrorists. Aber damals war das natürlich nicht so, dass es Terroristen waren, das waren Straßenkämpfer. Und der Adel, der war auch nicht alles gleich, aber der wurde so gesehen. Und ich will das wissen. Die Stadt Osnabrück gibt mir keine Antworten. Ich weiß das nicht. Die Rheinarmee ist abgezogen. Da war eine Verabschiedung. Ich war dabei. Ich wusste gar nicht warum. Ich sollte, I should sign a letter saying goodbye and we will always be in peaceful relations to each other, and it was some gobbledygook, also irgendwas blubber blubber. Ganz nett, kann man unterschreiben, but was there something else later put to it? I want to know. This contract, the piece by piece, and the contract of reunification, and other contracts as well. No one had ever the right to sign on my behalf. It was always narrowed. Und ich fühle mich verarscht von dem System. Ist deswegen irgendwie hier eine Psychiatriebande, wo ich noch nicht mal glaube, dass sie das überhaupt jemals studiert haben, aufgetaucht, die mich bedrängt. I want to know, because psychiatry is something where you have to trust the doctor. And for me, there had never been the trust. I was in such an anger toward all those, in my eyes, criminal doctors. I want to know why. There had not been the police looking into it. I said from day one, I want to speak to the police. This is not right. I had not money to buy a lawyer, so I wrote myself to the courts, to the Amtsgericht, to the Landgericht, Oberlandesgericht, Verfassungsgericht, and no answer. Please answer me. Thank you very much.